we're also going to make butterscotch bars. I call these butterscotch bars because in my mind, when I came across this, I was just playing around in the kitchen, and it tasted like, the topping I made tasted like butterscotch. So we're going to make those today, and hopefully you will like them. We're actually going to start with that recipe so it can chill a little bit in the fridge. Okay, so let's get started. We are going to start with 1.5 cups of cashews. And you can soak these ahead of time, but I'm not going to, which I store in the freezer to keep them fresh. So it gets kind of powdery, and then depending on what kind of nut you're using, a lot of my recipes you can exchange nuts, the sweetness, the oils. So using cashews, they're not as oily as like a walnut or a pecan. Walnuts, pecans, they're going to start clumping pretty quickly. The oils from the nuts are going to be released. The cashews in particular probably won't start clumping unless we ran it for a really long time. And you can make cashew butter this way also, but just using a food processor, you probably might need to drizzle some extra oil in there. Yeah, and it's nice and warm, and when I press it with my fingers, it's very soft. So it was starting to clump a little bit. So I'm going to throw 6 dates in there. This is ground up sesame seeds. Okay, you're going to have to look at the brand you get to see if there's anything else added in it. This Sprouts brand is an organic brand. I'm not crazy that it's in plastic. But they have a really good price on it, and it is organic, so sometimes I use this. They do add a little bit of sea salt, so you will want to take that into consideration in your recipes, right? Okay, so we're going to add about 1/4 cup. We're going to add about 1/4 teaspoon sea salt. I always taste things as I go along, so I'll know if it needs a little bit more salt. And then we have vanilla extract or vanilla powder, about 1.5 teaspoons extract or 1/2 teaspoon of the vanilla powder. I did get a vanilla powder that I'm kind of liking. And then 1/4 cup either hemp hearts or sesame seeds. I'm going to use hemp hearts today. You can get hemp seeds, that's already in the seed. They're very crunchy. I love hemp hearts for so many things, putting them in my smoothie. I love to put them in desserts like this, also on salads. I love the texture it adds to a salad. And 2 tablespoons cacao powder. So for those that aren't aware, cacao powder is basically cocoa powder that hasn't been heated. So it's considered a raw food. And you can consider it raw if it hasn't been heated above like 108 degrees. So I'm going to mix that up. See if I forgot anything. Yeah, as you guys can see, it just created a big ball like I'm making dough or something. Well, all the ingredients, the dates made it really moist, as well as the tahini. Like I said, you can really mix and match the different ingredients, different nuts, different sweeteners. So a lot of times with desserts in general, they tend to be really good if you have a sweet element and you have a fat element. And then you add some kind of flavor. Like cinnamon, vanilla, chocolate. I'm going to go ahead and press it in the pan. Now because we have the cashews and the tahini that adds this oil element, I'm not going to grease this pan. I think we've got enough oils in here that it's going to come out just fine. Okay, I'm just going to throw this in the fridge while we make the topping. Okay, so the topping ingredients, we are going to use some almond butter, maple syrup. I am going to use a little bit of stevia extract. I don't like a lot of fructose type sweeteners, so we're going to add a little bit of maple because I think the flavor is really nice. But mixing sweetness with some stevia extract can be pretty powerful. Some people don't like the taste of stevia. I think If you're one of those people, I think you'll be fine with this. We're not going to add that much of it. Stevia is one of those sweeteners that isn't going to cause a lot of health problems, or any health problems for that matter. But stevia extract is a little bit better than the white powdered stevia, which has been greatly refined. Stevia extract actually has some health benefits to it, as opposed to the powder. And then of course the best way to get stevia, the least processed of all, is going to be the stevia plant itself and taking the leaves off. And you can steep those or grind them up into a powder. Okay? Okay, and then we're going to have a little bit of vanilla, a little sea salt, and then we might use some nibs to put in a little bit of crunch. So a 1/4 cup of almond butter. I think the almond butter, you can use a different nut butter, but I think it really kind of gives the butterscotch flavor. It helps along with the maple. So we're going to put a tablespoon of maple syrup. Now with maple syrup, you don't want to buy pancake syrup because it actually doesn't really have maple in it. You want pure maple syrup. Grade B is going to be the best, thickest, richest maple syrup. And then grade A is going to come after that. I add about 8 drops of this. The stevia.
And if you don't have that, is there something you could use instead?
You could do a little more maple syrup.
Okay.
Yep. And taste it to get the right sweetness for you. A little dash of vanilla. A dash of sea salt. And I forgot to taste our bars to see if it had enough salt.
Everybody's tasting.
I'm just mixing this up. The cacao nibs give a nice crunch. So what's the difference between cacao nibs and cacao powder? The nibs still have the cocoa butter in them, okay? That's because I just really feel like they're healthy enough to eat for breakfast, you know? And because I can be sensitive to caffeine and things that I often do instead of eating them at night, it gives me a nice little kick in the morning. Don't need that coffee. Sometimes I will stick a tablespoon of cacao powder right in my smoothie. It's very nice. If you're making these at home, the refrigerator is fine. I just want them to set nicely for you guys. So we put this in the freezer to hasten the setting of it. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it up. And we'll put some on a plate for dessert. See if they set okay. I think they did. I like to make a dessert like this and keep them in the freezer where I can just pull a piece out and thaw it in like 2 minutes. It'll thaw.